So congratulations, Doc. So do you know also if D3 is involved in the fibrosis in the process?
Yes, that's a very good point, because fibrosis is a really important aspect of remodeling, and T3 actually reduces fibrosis. So in hypertrophy induced by thyroid hormone, you don't see fibrosis. Whereas in hypothyroidism, prolonged hypothyroidism, you'll get fibrosis as well. So T3 might have an effect there as well. And I think I said these D3 knockout mice will do worse, but if T3 goes up, they actually will do better, if we're right. Because the pathological signaling will be reduced, and things like, for instance, fibrosis will also be reduced.
I had a question regarding the DLK1 diode 3 region. That also includes the diode 3 reverse transcript, doesn't it? Do you have any information on that? Is it involved in the mirrors, or?
There are on the reverse strand, there's also transcription. We have not seen, I have not looked in great detail, but it doesn't look like the reverse transcript has an effect on the expression of type 3 deoxygenase. There wasn't a time when they thought that maybe that would sort of complement and prevent activity, but it doesn't. At least it doesn't appear to play that role. But the whole DLK1 diode 3 region is very complicated because of the imprinting, and it's expressed only from one allele. So it's very difficult to interpret these data. Although the microRNAs that we see in the cardiomyocyte, obviously they are there, but they might also be different in different populations of cardiomyocytes.
Domenico?
Doc? I have somehow a general question related to the use of T3 in severely affect heart failure patient, because I mean, if I understood correctly, in your hypothesis, the T3 is somehow detrimental for the heart failure. But there are some people that are convinced that a little bit of T3 in severe heart deficiency could be helpful for heart performances. What is your opinion about it?
A little bit of T3, so just give some thyroid hormone.
Yeah.
Well, the problem, I think, it has to do with the timing. When we see what we see in the mice, it is possible that, because that's something I didn't say, but there are also ideas that reducing thyroid hormone levels is beneficial for the heart because you bring down metabolism. The same thing that happens in severe illness. So it could also be part of a initially adaptive response aimed at reducing metabolism. And then in the end it becomes detrimental. So we don't know whether it would make sense to give T3 still at the final stages. I think the structural differences in end-stage heart failure patients are such that it will be very difficult to compensate that with a little bit of T3. I think you have to be at earlier stages to have an effect.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? So then thank you very much. No, there is a question. No, stop. There is a question.
Thank you for your talk. You mentioned stressed heart increases D3, and that means that the heart is trying to turn into a proliferative state again. In another sentence, you mentioned that this is present in neonatal hearts, and in another sentence, you mentioned regeneration. What are your thoughts on neonatal mice and their capacity to regenerate, and the role of thyroid hormone in this, or not?
Well, that's a hotly debated area. There are two studies. One that shows that if you slice off a bit of the apex of the feet of the newborn mouse heart 1 week before, within 1 week after birth, then the heart, the adult cardiomyocytes that are there are able to proliferate and do what the adult heart should be able to do. So that in that stage there is proliferation possible, and my guess would be that D3 would be upregulated in that particular area where these cells need to proliferate, and then T3 is again needed to differentiate. So why after 1 week this capacity is lost, although there's one paper by Joplin, I think, who says there's a second window after 2 weeks, very brief period, when there is still proliferative capacity, which is dependent on thyroid hormone. In hypothyroid mice, they don't see that. But it's a very difficult paper to interpret. But that there is a relationship between proliferation with low T3 and then differentiation with higher T3, I think that's evident.
Okay, any further question? Okay, so then.